Hi, my people. Welcome once again to A.O.S Abroad. Thank you very, very much for joining today's wonderful episode. And today we have some good news and some bad news. Yes. So stick with me as I'm going to be sharing the both news with you. Today we have two articles we are going to be actually reading. We have the permanent residency related article on immigration.ca website, and we also have the temporary residency um, article, which we'll be talking about from the cicnews.com website. So we have two articles basically. I'll try to see if we could be fast with the both of them and actually learn from the both sides, the side of immigration.ca website and the path of cicnews.com website. So with that being said, stick around as we actually discuss these two articles. So the first article, for many of you that are on live, you know that what we are the title of the conversation today is new permanent residency exceeding targets. You understand? And temporary resident arrivals decrease in Canada. Now, those are two articles we actually put into one to discuss with you today. But if you go on the various websites, the first article is centered on Canada set to exceed targets for new permanent residents in 2025. That's the first good news. The first good news is that Canada is exceeding the target it sets for itself to actually bring in permanent residents. So there is no deduction or no reduction of permanent residents that are actually coming into Canada. So that's the first good news. Now, the bad news. The bad news is there is a large decrease in arrivals of temporary residents in Canada. I've told you the first good news, right? Now I'm giving you the second bad news. The first good news, as I said, which we'll talk about to start, is that Canada set to exceed the targets for new permanent residents in 2025. So they are going to be bringing in more permanent residents as compared to what they have actually planned before. But the bad news, which I was talking about earlier, is that there have been a large decrease in arrivals of temporary residents in Canada. And what does that mean? That means people that are coming in as international students, there have been a large decrease rather, a large decrease. That means there have been a reduction of temporary residents that are coming to Canada, which are international students, temporary residents, which are foreign temporary workers. We have seen a reduction, and I'm not going to be also um, actually surprised if also the visitors or the tourists that are coming into Canada are being reduced drastically. And why is this happening? We're going to still read the article, but from my own limited knowledge, I know that for a fact Canada cannot sustain the amount of temporary residents it is actually bringing into the country. Do you understand? There are a lot of people that are coming into the country as international students that, for instance, can actually get housing. Some are coming into the country and they cannot afford to even pay their tuition fees. Some have to work before they can pay their tuition fee. As a result of that, many of the jobs that Canadians and permanent residents can get or should get, they are actually struggling to actually get it by virtue of the international students. So a lot of issues have been coming, political and otherwise, as regards why they have to reduce the amount of students and the amount of temporary foreign workers that are coming to the country. So I'm not here to give any propaganda. I'm just here to give you the statistics. I'm here to talk about, you understand, the updates that we got. This is the updates that we got yesterday and the day before yesterday. The first good news, we got it yesterday, and the first good news was Canada set to exceed targets for new permanent residents in 2025. So, in as much as they are reducing the amount of international students coming to the country, in as much they are reducing the amount of temporary foreign workers and the amount of visitors that they are bringing in, they are simultaneously increasing the what? The amount of new permanent residents that are coming into the country in the year 2025. So before we go into the article, if you are someone that you are thinking objectively, if you are someone that you are using the data to judge your own what they call it decisions, and you want to still come into Canada, then you may not do yourself a great service by coming into Canada as an international student or coming into Canada as a temporary foreign worker or as a visitor. You may benefit more by coming into Canada as a permanent resident. Do you understand? Now, so let's actually go in depth. What do they mean by Canada set to exceed targets for new permanent residents in the year 2025? That's the first good news. So let's read it. As I said, I'm reading from the immigration website, which is immigration.ca. Immigration.ca. That is the immigration website I'm actually reading this article from. Now, immigration.ca, by the writer Colin R. Singer, actually published this article August 25, 2025. That's 2 days ago. And application for permanent residence, it says Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, IRCC, has finally released mid-year immigration data. When they say mid-year immigration data for the year 2025, it means that for January to June, that's the mid-year, January to June, they have released it months later than usual. Usually they always release it before, after some time, you understand, not as early as August 2025. But now they have increased, or they have quickly released their mid-year immigration data for the year 2025. And they said the delay sparked accusations that the government was deliberately withholding figures as numbers declined across most categories of newcomers. Do you understand? So if you look at it, some accusations, people have been accusing the government that they have actually reduced the number of immigrants that they are bringing. They have reduced the number of newcomers that are coming into Canada as permanent residents. But critics argue that the lack of transparency has made it harder to assess the impact of immigration on housing, on healthcare, and on the job market. Mind you, I was telling you earlier, I said one of the reasons Canada may actually stop bringing in the sheer amount of people that they are bringing in through temporary residents like international students and temporary foreign workers was as a result of the strain it had on housing, the strain it had on job market, and also on healthcare. For everybody that knows, Canada's healthcare is actually free for those that are citizens and permanent residents. But some international students may actually also get access to it. Some may also get access to the job market because, as I said, it's cheaper. It's cheaper sometimes to actually recruit international students. So some companies may not want to recruit Canadians or permanent residents and prefer to recruit international students. But now there have been a reduction on the amount of people that they are coming in as temporary residents. Rather, now the government is actively working on increasing the amount of permanent residents that are coming into the country so that they are the people that will get access to more housing, they are the people that will get access to healthcare, and they are the people that will get more access to what the job market. So that's one of the reasons why these changes are happening. So on this page, you are going to learn one thing. One, you will learn Canada's permanent resident numbers for the first half of 2025. From January 2025 to June 2025, that's 6 months. From January, February, March, April, May, June. You understand? Two, you will learn about the International Mobility Program work permit figures. That means those that are coming into the country through select countries to work temporarily in Canada. What are their figures? What are we seeing in their work permit? You understand? Approvals. Number three, you are also going to see the temporary foreign worker program permit trends. Those that are coming in as temporary foreign workers, do you understand? Coming in to work for a year or two, what are their trends? Number four, rather, you are going to learn about the study permit issuance compared with past years. You understand? Now that they are actually issuing study permits at a lesser rate, we are going to compare it with what they are actually approving right now in the year 2025 and what they were approving the previous years like 2024, 2023, and 2022. Now, lastly, you also learn about the transparency concerns over IRCC's delayed data release. Why has IRCC not been delaying? Why have they been delaying the statistics? What is the reason behind them delaying the statistics? We'll learn about it. Now, the first thing, which is the first good news that we have, the very good news we have, is that of the permanent residence numbers. You understand? The permanent resident numbers. Now, if you look at this article, it states that Canada admitted 207,650 permanent residents in the first year or in the first half of the year 2025. And that is a notable decline compared with the 255,950 in the year 2024 and 263,425 in the year 2023. Now, that is a first, if you look at that, that's a reduction as compared to 2024 and 2023. But however, despite the slower start, despite the fact that they started a little bit at a lower stretch, they reduced the numbers for the first half of the year. Canada has a target of bringing in 395,000 permanent residents for the year. Now, if you look at that, 395,000 permanent residents for the year 2025, if they have started bringing in and they have admitted 207,650 within January and June, we can just expect basically that they will double that amount. You understand? From August, September, October, November, December, or July, August, September, October, November, December, right? For the later part of the year. Because at the current rate, at the current pace of their invitations, at the current pace of their approvals, at the current rate of them admitting people into the country is projected to land about 415,000 newcomers by year end, which would still exceed the official plan. What was the official plan? As you saw, the official plan was 395,000. Though from the January 2025 to June 2025, the amount of people they brought in is little compared to the amount of people they brought in last year and the previous year. But what the statistics is still showing us is that if they had already brought in 207,650 within the span of 6 months, we can expect that they will bring times 2 of that. And that's what exactly the projection states, that before the end of the year 2025, we can actually see 415,000 newcomers actually coming into the country. So what's that telling you? That's telling you that the opportunity to become a permanent resident is still available to you. You understand? The opportunity for you to get selected, for you to get chosen, for you to, you understand, get approved to get your visa and to come into Canada is still wide open for a lot of people worldwide. Do you understand? Now, that's for the that's for the permanent resident, rather, the permanent resident statistics, which we are very happy to learn about. But we have other statistics. The second statistic is the International Mobility Program, the IMP. The International Mobility Program, IMP, saw a sharp decline because those ones made work permits. You understand? Canada issued 302,280 IMP work permits in the first half of 2025. And this is from 410,825 in the year 2024 and 377,650 in the year 2023. These are still large numbers. Some people may see that there are still a lot of people that are coming into Canada. Yes, but the reduction follows the government's move to slow down temporary resident growth. They want to slow it down, you understand? And critics say that these changes combined with delayed reporting raise questions about whether Canadians are being given the full picture of the group program's impact. So some people are saying that, just like one article or one video I watched yesterday, and in the comment section where some people say, scrap, you understand, the work permit program. Some people are telling Canada, the Canadian government, to scrap the work permit program, that some Canadians are not even getting jobs. Why are they bringing in more immigrants and things like that? Well, as I said, I'm not here for propaganda. I'm just here to give you the statistics. Okay, now Azula, thank you very much for joining our live on TikTok and liking our live. So what I meant to just tell you is that there have been some reductions in temporary foreign workers, just like we have now. Temporary Foreign Worker Program, the TFWP, it states that the TFWP, the Temporary Foreign Worker Program, remain more stable with 105,195 permits issued in the first 6 months of the year 2025. And this, compared to last year, we saw a reduction of 109,310 and 111,985 in the year 2025. So there have been some little reduction in how many people they are bringing in as temporary foreign workers, right? So the program continues to play a critical role, however, in sectors like agriculture, in sectors like construction and caregiving, where worker shortages remain acute. Now you have to note something because just like I said, I saw on the social media where someone is saying, "Oh, they should shut down the temporary foreign worker program and things like that." And I was speaking to one of our immigration consultants, and he was saying, he said, the issue is not to shut down, or the issue is not that Canada cannot actually shut down some of these programs. They can. Do you understand? But before they will shut it down, they have to look, are the Canadians and permanent residents willing to take up many of those jobs? Because that's the issue. Are they willing to take up many of these jobs? Because we have seen some people that are just getting benefits and are not working. You understand? We have seen some people that are into businesses that are not working. We have seen some people that are old enough, they are just retired. You understand? They are retired, collecting their pension money, their gratuity, and they are not working. We have seen some young people that are not willing to actually work some of these shitty jobs, agriculture jobs, construction jobs, caregiving. Some people don't have that patience to work on those jobs. Do you understand? So until Canadians and permanent residents like us, including myself, until we are willing to go work some of these jobs, there will be more need to bring in even people that are in those jobs. I know a lot of caregivers that yes, they came into the country, they started doing caregiving, but after that some point they say, oh man, I cannot continue doing this. Let me leave this and go and get something else doing. You understand? So some people, even if they are in the jobs now, they are not in the jobs because they love the jobs, or they are not in the jobs because they want to stay there long term. They are in the jobs just to actually um foot the bill. Basically, they are just there to foot the bill, and after they get something better, they leave and actually go do something else. Do you understand? So the worker shortages is the issue. Worker shortages is the major issue. If Canadians and permanent residents can do those jobs, they may not be need for temporary foreign workers. But many of us know that they don't really have time to do many of those jobs, and that is why we still would need temporary foreign workers coming into the country to do them. Now, another thing is the study permit. Study permit fell significantly lower because Canada issued only 149,860 study permits in the first half of the year 2025. That means from January to June 2025, which was well below 245,000 in the year 2024 and 238,425 in the year 2023. In fact, I saw and I heard a lot of consultants saying that yes, they have been receiving some rejections. A lot of clients have been complaining. Do you understand? A lot of issues have been because now they are scrupulously looking into many of those applications. And if they see that there's one issue you have or two or so, you understand? Sometimes they don't even give you opportunity to send additional documents. They just actually refuse the application. So you have to be very careful because the decline reflects the tighter rules, the decline of the acceptance. They reflect tighter rules on international students introduced to ease the pressure on housing and public services. Because of course, many students are coming into the housing market and making prices a little bit higher compared to what Canadians and permanent residents are willing to pay. Do you understand? And because many of them are coming from abroad, some of them even have money to pay 3, 4, 5, 6 months rent in advance. So, of course, if you're if you're a landlord, you would want to actually get such people to pay you because your money is not going to be tied down. You will be able to actually get your money quickly and use it to do something else. You understand? So many of them, it's putting a strain on the Canadian housing market because now there are more competitions. People are competing more for the same unit of housing that are available. Some people say, yes, why don't they build houses? Yes, they can build houses, or they are still building houses, but we all know how the government works and how you understand those that are housing developers work. It takes time to get permits, it takes time to actually build a structure, it takes manpower, and of course, the manpower we are saying now is the construction that a lot of Canadians and permanent residents don't want to do, which they have to bring in temporary foreign workers to do it. And as a result of that, it takes more time to actually get things done. Do you understand? So it is like a boomerang. It's things. So it's not something that is easily fixable. From my own understanding, it's not something that is easily fixable. They have to actually do a lot of things in order to make sure that what housing is available, and public services are being accessible to people. So, of course, the said critics argue that also by delaying the release of this data, the government is avoiding public debate on a sensitive policy shift. What is the sensitive policy shift? The policy shift that they are reducing, you understand, study permits, even though some Canadians will say even 100,000 or 149,000 is still plenty. Why can't they reduce it to like 50,000? You have to understand Canadian colleges and universities and polytechnics, many of them, sadly, they still rely on public funding from international students. Do you understand? So they need to actually stay afloat. We also saw what happened when they even reduced the little part of the colleges, how some colleges were even closing their campuses, how they were laying off staffs. So if you look at it, look at the big spectrum of things, because that's the issue I have when I talk to some people. If you look at the big spectrum of things, if you say okay, you don't want international students again, sometimes that not wanting international students may affect Canadians themselves and permanent residents, because many of them are working on in those jobs, and they get to lose their jobs when international students are not coming in, and there are no, you understand, money coming into the system. Two, they may have issues by closing these campuses, you understand, not allowing people to actually go to work again, not getting them to have benefits and things like, you understand, working and getting paid, and you understand, doing things basically. So the economy is going to be, if not stagnant, it's going to be declining. Do you understand, on the education aspect? So sometimes students are also needed. The only thing is that they have to be balanced, not bringing in too much students and not, you understand, overburdening the public services that are currently available. So transparency concerns. For decades, IRCC has published monthly immigration data through its open data portal. In 2025, however, updates stopped after March. They stopped sending updates on their portal. You understand, leaving journalists, researchers, and policymakers in the dark until now, until this August. So, conservative immigration critic Michelle Rempel Ghana accused the government of hiding figures that Canadians deserve to see, while officials insist that the delay was due to changes in how the data is being presented. So basically, what they are saying is they want the Canadian government to be more transparent. And in the immigration sphere, we have been seeing a lot of more transparency. I remember was that last month when they said, okay, now you'll be able to also receive from your rejection letters or refusal letters, you'll be able to get more reasons why the visa officer actually refused your application. So if maybe you apply for visitor visa or you apply for study permit, instead of you needing to actually apply for what we know as the GCMS note, the Global Case Management System note, you may not need to actually request for that GCMS note again, because through the refusal letter, the visa officer that declined your, you understand, visa would write the reasons why they declined it, more explanatory. Yes, because sometimes they always write some ambiguous things like, okay, your proof of your funding is not enough. They say they don't feel confident that you'll be able to leave the country after your visa expires, things like that. But now, apart from just those how will I call it, automatic message responses, they will still now go in depth, still in the refusal letter, to explain why they feel maybe your proof of funds is not enough, why they feel okay, you will not leave the country. They'll go in depth basically in explaining further. So you may not really need the GCMS notes. You may just need to look into your refusal letter, work on what the concerns that the visa officer actually brought up, and with that reapply and potentially get, you understand, finally approved. So that's that on the transparency concerns. Now let's look at the outlook for the year 2025, because we have used more than half of the year already. We're already in August. In fact, we have used July. Yes, half of the year stopped in June 30. So we have used July already. In fact, this August is fast ending, right? We'll soon enter the Ember month. So they said even with the mid-year declines, even as we saw reduction in the amount of what? In the amount of immigrants that are coming into the countries and travelers, even though we have seen decline, what they are saying, what immigration dossier is saying, is that Canada is still on track to meet its permanent resident target of 395,000. They are still on track because once we have seen that in the year 2025, from January to June 2025, they have brought in over 200,000 people. So we can just assume that 200,000 people within January to June. So within July to December, we should see another 200,000 people getting selected, another 200,000 people coming into Canada, another 200,000 people having the opportunity to actually apply. So what is that telling you? That's telling you that the opportunity to become a permanent resident in Canada is still wide open. You know something about immigration that I have noticed? I remember when I was working on my immigration in the year 2018, I wasn't serious about it. In fact, Corona has not started, many things have not happened that, but I was not just serious. So because of that, I couldn't blame anybody. It's just myself because I didn't do all the steps I had to do in order to get selected. So I didn't. There was no issues. But in the year 2022, I found out that after I waited 2 years and I had to rewrite my language exams and things like that. So in that year 2020, COVID came in. COVID set in, the pandemic, there was lockdown and things like that. And for a point, or for a time, that particular period, a lot of people were frustrated with Canada. People that were not yet in Canada, they got discouraged to pursue Canadian immigration. A lot of people didn't take it serious again. A lot of people just felt these people are not, they are focused on inviting those already in the country. So let me just leave them. But those that were very, very analytical, those that were strategic to say, okay, they are not inviting people now outside of Canada. I understand that. How can I be what? How can I be much more ready now so that later on when they invite people, I will be part of the first persons they select? Those that were strategic, those that were thinking long term, that they were not thinking short term. They were those that benefited when Canada started inviting people at the tail end of the year. And I remember one of my cousins was also he also had the advantage to actually get selected then because he had gone to get his CIPM or his ACCA that time. You understand? He had gone to actually rewrite the I.O.S. He had gone to get more of his documentations. So when they started inviting people after the lockdown, after the fact that okay, you understand, airlines and everything were not moving, were not going to Canada, he was part of the very few people that got selected quickly to actually come to Canada. Likewise, for me, when everything was not working, when everything was against us that time, even post COVID, when Canada were focusing majorly on CIC categories or the Canadian CEC categories, Canadian Experience Class programs, and PMPs. I remember PMPs, provincial nominee programs. Instead of me complaining that express entry is too competitive, over 500 people they were selecting them, all I just did was didn't focus on the express entry, which was much more competitive as at then. Rather, I focused on what? I focused on the provincial nominee programs that were still selecting people then, but not at the rate that the federal government were actually selecting. So, what's our take? What should be your take from this? Your take from this should be that now that people are feeling that Canada is rejecting people, Canada is refusing people, they are not giving them opportunity to come into Canada, with the tariffs and everything, it's becoming much more harder. Those that are strategic amongst people that still want to come into the country, this is the time that they will shine. Because a lot of people are taking their eyes off of Canada. A lot of people are not willing to have anything to do with Canada. But you that are still looking at, okay, yes, after a storm, there will always be what? After the rain, there will always be storm. How do they always say that quote? I forgot. But basically, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. So if everything is dark right now, and you are still persevering, you're not just going back because it's just as if okay, there's a tunnel, maybe this is a tunnel. You understand? There's going to be light at the end of the tunnel, but you get stuck when you enter the tunnel in this place and you feel that because you got stuck, then let just go back. Yes, you can get stuck, but if you get stuck, you can fight to avoid the stop, or you can try to avoid the, you understand, the issue, what actually caused the break in transmission, if there's anything like that. Because, and at the end of the day, move out of the tunnel to actually arrive at the other side. You understand? So some of you, even the thing that stops you right now is very little to what you would later benefit when you finally succeed. But if you are already discouraged, if you, I remember when I was working on my own 2018, as I said, I didn't get serious. 2020, I was frustrated, as every other person will get frustrated that, oh, Canada is not picking people, oh, this thing is too difficult, oh, this thing. I had done exam twice, then I didn't make it. But if after those two failures I have thought that, oh, this thing is not possible, it's not my calling to be in Canada. It's not my portion or that kind of thing to be in Canada, and I just got discouraged and left it. That last moment of me just trying to rewrite my exams the third time, you understand, and just trying one more time to actually get it, couldn't have actually surfaced. It couldn't have happened. All right, thank you, Ola, for liking our live, and Nana Zulai. It wouldn't have happened. So sometimes what is actually limiting your progress may just be one tiny bug. Just like in the computer science world, when they will say debugging, sometimes it may just be one little bug or one little obstacle, one little minute. Yes, you have done as at for me then, I had done IELTS twice. I had taking my French exam twice. You understand? I failed twice. You understand? But if I was discouraged and I said, okay, yes, I'm a French teacher. Yes, I know how to write French. I failed. You understand? And I let those two attempts, you understand, discourage me. And I felt like a failure. And God knows I will still be in Nigeria now. I'll still be complaining like those that are in Nigeria. You understand? I'll still be complaining because I didn't see that. Yes, obstacles are just like in life, every time you face obstacles. But after the two failures, what can I learn from the process and now use that knowledge that I get to improve myself so that the third time I now attempt it, I will have a higher chance of actually getting it. And that was exactly what happened. I didn't just like let my two previous failures define and delineate the future that I was actually willing to get. Because there was nothing wrong with the future, nothing wrong at all. But you have to think beyond the box and don't just look that after one failure or two failures, that's all, and you can actually achieve it. I don't know if I'm making sense. So that's the first article. The first article was basically talking about Canada set to exceed the target for new permanent residents in 2025. That's the first one. The second article we said we're going to talk about is the large decrease in arrivals. Though we have talked about it slightly in the first article, but in the second article, they kind of elaborated on it on cicnews.com, and that article was talking about the large decrease in arrivals of temporary residents in Canada. Do you understand? And it's on cicnews.com website. If you go on their website, you are going to be able to actually access that particular news. Why I really like that news is because it kind of gives us statistics in terms of percentages. Do you understand? And those percentages is what I really want us to, you understand, really talk on. Those percentages really help us know for sure what Canada is actually currently doing and how you also can actually benefit from it. Do you understand? So in the year 2025, August 26, 2025, that was yesterday. It was an article that was dropped yesterday. It states that in 2025, new student arrivals have, that's why I said I like this because it gives us statistics in terms of percentages. Now, if you see 70%, there have been 70% reduction of international students coming into the country. What does that tell you? That tells you that before, if they were rejecting maybe one person in five, now they are rejecting two people, three people out of five people. Do you understand? So that just shows you that now it is much more competitive to get that study permit that you so desire. And now they are saying newcomer arrivals also have declined by 50%. So if they were inviting two people out of 10 people, or if they were inviting four people out of 10 people to come in as permanent temporary, those 10 people that they are inviting. So it has become much more competitive. You understand? According to the new data published by the Canada's immigration department. Now, they said in the period between January and June 2025, Canada welcomed 88,617 fewer international students. So that means 88,617 international students didn't get the opportunity to get their visa approved. 88,617 that we know of were rejected. We don't even know about those that were rejected that were not in the statistics. We don't know those ones. Do you understand? Now, they also said, and 125,903 fewer foreign workers. So now what they mean is that if you had created or if you had applied for work permits, many of those people that applied for work permits, about 125,000 plus of them were rejected. You understand? They were rejected of their work permit application compared to the same period in the year 2024. So do you see the difference now that about more than 200,000 people were rejected, whether they were international students, they were temporary foreign workers, or okay, they didn't even talk about visitors. I know visitors too have, because they are also temporary residents. Now they said this cumulatively has yielded a total decrease of 214,520 fewer newer students and worker arrivals over this period of January to June 2025, demonstrating that measures taken by the Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada (IRCC) to curb inflows of temporary residents have had a substantial impact. Now, I hope we understand that. If you have any questions, we can drop it on the comment section and let's see if we can respond to you whilst we are here. Now, they said, what are the changing proportions of new immigrants? Let's now look at those that are already coming into Canada. Which proportions are they using to actually invite them? They said the latest data from the Immigration Department also indicates that there has been a marked decrease in the proportion of new arrivals that are study permit holders since the start of 2025. And of course, a lot of people, in fact, just like I said before, our immigration consultant has been saying there have been a lot of decrease. A lot of people have been getting to not the opportunity to get that visa or to get that permit, because now it is much more competitive to qualify for the study permit and to qualify for the work permit. So he said, while the degree to which study permit and work permit holders dominate the monthly share of new arrivals to Canada tends to fluctuate, IRCC data shows a consistent shift towards most new arrivals being work permit holders, averaging 80% between February and June 2025. What are they saying? They said, now, instead of them focusing on international students, everybody knew that last year, previous year, we had more international students coming in than many people. But right now, there have been a decline of international students. It's temporary foreign workers that are coming more, just because those are the ones that will really work on the work shortages or the labor shortages than the international students who will first come to study. You understand? But they said student permit holders, we are seeing a sharp decrease in their share of new arrivals. And this is in contrast to the same time last year when work permit holders averaged 70% of new arrivals, right? So they said, though August and December tend to see more international student arrivals in anticipation of the fall and winter intakes, this change in the proportion of new arrivals that are study permit holders is consistent with other trends seen in new arrival data. So basically, what they are telling us is that there have been slower rates of intake. The amount of people that are coming in with both study permits and work permits, they have both decreased significantly. They are both decreased significantly. Now, we are seeing less and less people coming into the country within January and June 2025 as compared to January and June 2024. Do you understand? So what basically are we talking about in essence? What we are talking about in essence is that if you want to come into Canada, let's assume you are not even in Canada already. If you want to come into Canada right now, you may do yourself a great service by not focusing on international students route or the temporary foreign worker route. Because before, when 1 in 3 people were getting selected, or 1 in 4 people were getting selected, now it is like 1 in every 10 or 1 in every 8 people that are getting selected. So more people are getting rejected basically right now as compared to before. And of course, many people won't even have opportunity to get postgraduate work permits because they are not in Canada. The people that even get postgraduate work permit are few compared to those that were getting it before. Now there are more restrictions to the amount of international students that will qualify for what? For the postgraduate work permits, the PGWPs. So here comes our own suggestion. If you want to come into Canada within this year 2025 or by next year 2026, you can start working towards your immigration to come into Canada as a permanent resident. Because if you come into Canada as a permanent resident, you stand a chance of, first of all, not getting among those that will be, you understand, rejected or refused. And secondly, when you come into the country, you are not going to even be bothering because even if they come into, let's assume international students or temporary foreign workers come in, if they want to stay back in Canada permanently, they will still have to renew their visas. Some of them will still have to switch from one permit or one visa to the other. But if you come in to Canada as a permanent resident, you can be rest assured that for 3, 4 years, you can stay in Canada without worrying about any application. And later on, even become a citizen if you so desire and you qualify to become a citizen of the country. And that is where I say we at A.O.S Abroad actually comes in. If you want us to assist you with your permanent residence, want us to prepare you for language examinations like IELTS, like TEF Canada, TCF Canada, TEF, even the TOEFL. Yes, that reminds me. TOEFL is another exam that Canada has stated that they will be allowing or they will be approving to yourself to use for permanent residency right now. So we expect that even it's just like PTE. I remember when Canada was stating that PTE will soon be accepted. They may not have started accepting it across the province or within express entry program, but sooner or later we're expecting that they are going to be approving what? They are going to be approving the TOEFL exam to be used for immigration purposes. So if you are part of those who maybe you have your TOEFL exam already, or you prefer the TOEFL exam than the other exams, you understand, you can get selected by Canada to actually use that because now they said the new language test, which is the TOEFL, will be available for Canadian permanent residency application. This was a message that we got on August 21st, 2025. So we can also prepare you for that. We would also train you for that if you want. They said foreign nationals seeking to immigrate to Canada would have another testing option to prove their English language proficiency. And they said Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, IRCC, will accept the test of English as a foreign language, TOEFL, essentials test in the future. It's not yet, just like I said, they are not yet accepting it. But IRCC is not currently accepting this test, but will update its official web pages once the acceptance begins. And this, as they say, is a change to enable foreign nationals under its permanent economic immigration programs to take this test in order to help them prove their English language proficiency. So on 21st of August of this year, the Education Testing Service, ETS, the organization that administers the TOEFL, announced that it had been added as a designated language testing organization by IRCC. So, per the news release, ETS is currently working with IRCC on the steps leading up towards acceptance of the TOEFL essentials and will share timing and test location details once they have been confirmed. So, if you are part of those who are going to be, or you may ask, who are those that will be impacted by this change? Per the ETS official newsletter or the news release, the TOEFL Essentials test will be made available to candidates in IRCC's permanent economic immigration programs. This encompasses number one, the express entry. Thank you very much. I see Tina liking our live on TikTok. Really appreciate that. So, if you are part of those that are working on express entry managed programs, like the Federal Skilled Worker Program, like the Federal Skilled Trades Program, like the Canadian Experience Class Program, like the Atlantic Immigration Program, and also the Provincial Nominee Program. There are some certain provinces as well. They said note that the PNPs regional programs in which provinces and territories also have jurisdiction over program requirements. So this may lead to selective uptake of the TOEFL essential test. That reminds me, I remember for many of those that are actually following us, you know that I do always talk about French because, of course, I'm a French teacher. I teach people French. I prepare people for French examinations like TOEFL, like TEF Canada, TCF Canada, and DELF-DAF. Quebec is a province that accepts DELF-DAF, even though it's not part of the provincial nominee program. You understand, provinces, but it accepts DELF-DAF. There are some provinces that would accept TOEFL as well, that will not accept, that will accept IELTS, yes, that will not accept TOEFL. There are some, I remember CELPIP too. CELPIP is not accepted by Quebec. It is IELTS that is accepted by Quebec. Do you understand? So there are some provinces that may accept, even that CELPIP, I think more provinces are now accepting CELPIP than when they first, I say CELPIP, they are now accepting PTE than when they first started. The PTE exam was not accepted by many provinces, you understand, for their provincial nominee programs at the very beginning. Do you understand? So basically, TOEFL essential test is another test you can use to actually measure your 4 core English language skills, which is the listening, the reading, the writing, and the speaking. And they do this just like the IELTS through practical task-based activities that reflect real life communication. Now, Ekwaluta, thank you very much. I see you followed and you just gave me a gift. Thank you. You're my first gifter. You have the #1 gifter badge. Really appreciate that. So he said, New Year. You are New Year. Thank you. I hope you are getting value from all what we are discussing. If you are getting value, thank you very much. I really appreciate you for joining. Always note, for those that are just joining, we always have live sessions at least once a week. That's the bare minimum. Sometimes we have 2, sometimes we have 3. But the bare minimum at least for a week is once. So you can always join us subsequently to talk about trending topics in immigration, to talk about what you need to know about coming into Canada, excelling, succeeding in Canada. And if you're even still abroad, you understand, for those that know, I'm an author, I also have online courses and travel packages where I used to assist those, either if you are doing it DIY or you want to do it through our immigration partners, we can assist you with any of those. You understand? Many people are also taking my French classes right now. We have students. If you want to take our French classes, you can go on aosacademy.com. You understand? And actually sign up for some of our classes. It's not only French though. The English is one of it. We have trainers that will train you on the English exam. We have what do you call it? Coaches that would also assist you with the French. And if you want to actually get jobs in Canada, if you want to start a business in Canada, which is one of the aspects me I like, because I'm a business person, and even if you are not currently in Canada, you understand? If you are not currently in Canada, just like I've said countless times here, we can still assist you to develop or to build businesses in Canada that you can always be earning from. We have talked about series of people that are still in Nigeria, you understand, and are still earning in Canada. There are some people that are not even in Nigeria, like Ghana, and they are earning in the US, they are earning in Canada, you understand. They are earning, some are authors just like me, they are writing books and earning. Some are digital marketers, they are running digital agencies and they are earning from people, you understand, overseas. So you can as well also set up something in Canada, have a business in Canada, and be earning from other countries through the virtue of your Canadian business. Okay, so that being said, the discussion we had today, I think we actually had to even talk about 3 different articles now. The first article that I talked about was Canada setting to exceed the target for new permanent residents in the year 2025. They want to, you understand, the cutoff that they gave themselves, which was 395,000, they are breaking that record this year to invite more people as compared to last year and the previous year. That's the first good news. The second bad news was that Canada was reducing what? They are reducing the amount of what arrivals for temporary residents in Canada. So those that are international students, those that are temporary foreign workers, and even visitors are being rejected more right now. They are being refused their visas more and their permits more. And they are not really bringing in a lot of them as they were bringing them last year and previous year. And the last thing we said to round off this conversation was the fact that TOEFL Essentials test is the new test approved by IRCC for those that want to apply for permanent residency visa to come into Canada. And of course, I told you, just like all the IELTS, the CELP, the PT, this test also has the listening, speaking, reading, writing component. And as I said, the test lasts roughly 1.5 hours, and it will be available at a secure test center in Canada and outside of Canada. Many people know the TOEFL. You know that it is used for the US, it's used for UK admissions to schools and places like that. So it is an exam already that people are doing worldwide. So many of the test centers, instead of them just allowing those that are going to the UK or US to take the test, now Canadians too would also have the opportunity, especially those that are applying for permanent residence. Yes, if you're applying through a school in Canada, maybe like a university or a polytechnic or a college, many of them accept the TOEFL as a means of what showing your English proficiency already. But for permanent residency in Canada, it was not approved up until now. So now the test, they would accept the test results, which comprises of the listening, reading, writing, and speaking. You understand? And you have the opportunity to use that test. And I believe the test too, if I would read it up to, is going to be approved for like 2 years. I think that's going to be the minimum as well, just like the other tests, the IELTS, CELP, PT. It should be just approved for, you understand, 2 years. And after that 2 years, if you don't use it, you would have to go rewrite another one, I believe. Do you understand? So I don't think it's going to be different from the other three examinations: the Canadian English Language Proficiency Index program, which is the CELPIP, the International English Language Testing System, which is IELTS, and the Persian Test of English, which is the PTE Core. I think this exam is going to be similar to that too. The way they score it, yes, they said test takers receive instant results for listening and reading, while with unofficial scores shown immediately after completing the test. And official results are typically available online within 6 days or less. So if you are waiting so long to get your IELTS results within 14 days or is it 13 days, this one will be faster. Though I think the IELTS now they want to be using, I think they're already doing the what they call it, the electronic test. And the electronic test, I think that's faster within 3 days or 4 days, you get your results. So some results can be sent to an unlimited number of institutions at no additional cost for those that are doing TOEFL for study purposes. Do you understand? So with that, we come to the end of this conversation today. I don't know if any of you have any questions, you can drop it in the comment section. If you don't have, as I said, you can visit our website, aosacademy.com, to actually learn about what we do. You understand how we can actually assist you with your immigration abroad if you are going to countries like Canada, like UK, like US, all those places. Do you understand? Though we are in Canada, we focus more on Canada, but our services can also transcend other countries, and you can also work with us through other pathways that you are going to, other countries you are going to as well. So, and meanwhile, just to chip in, we have a big bonus that we are going to be explaining, or we are going to be launching very soon. We're going to be launching this big bonus for those that have been reaching out to us and stating that, yes, I want to come to Canada. Do you guys do sponsorship? I want to come to Canada. Do you guys have a way for me to get funding for my immigration? I want to come to. So different stories, different questions. We have something huge that we are actually cooking up. Yes, we are cooking it up, and by God's grace, once it's fully developed, we are going to be launching it most likely by God's grace next month. So let's just wait for that as we expect that new thing to actually unfold. And we're going to be having a lot of people joining us on that. But to always stay abreast with all that we have, all our conversations, our live sessions, our articles, you can go on our website through the bio, whether on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram, any of those places you are joining from. Just go on our bio or visit aos.name.ng That's our other website where we talk about permanent residency in details. Okay, Sabina, thank you very much for liking our live session. So on that website, aos.nin.ng, we talk about immigration in details, especially the one centered on permanent residency, which we are kind of celebrating now because Canada says you want to come into Canada as a permanent resident, you stand a higher chance of getting selected than those that are trying to come into Canada as an international student or coming to Canada as temporary foreign workers or as visitors. If you are coming into Canada as a permanent resident, you understand, you have a better chance, especially now that a lot of people are looking the other way. Some people are looking at UK, some people are even looking at is it Belgium? Someone was even talking to me about Georgia. So we have a lot of other countries some people are looking into because people don't want to wait on Canada immigration. But if you are part of those that still see Canada as somewhere you would love to come to, you have the opportunity now, especially through the permanent residency pathway. If you are not qualified for express entry, forget express entry. I do always tell people I didn't come into Canada through express entry. It was provincial nominee programs I came into Canada with. And we have a lot of our clients, some clients keep coming into Canada through the Quebec skilled worker program. Even if they are not even fluent in French already, it's not compulsory for you to be fluent in French before you can have the opportunity. We have a lot of people that have gone to Quebec that don't actually speak French fluently. Do you understand? So that is also available. We have people that are coming through the rural pathways, people coming through the francophone pathways. There are a lot of ways you can come into Canada right now and become permanent resident as soon as you land in Canada once you get your confirmation of permanent residency approved. So if you want that opportunity, go on our website aos.nin.ng where we explain in details all what you need to do in order to qualify to actually get your permanent residency in Canada. And there are a lot of things that many people right now are doing to qualify and to get selected to come into Canada. If you want to learn more about what you need to do and how to actually go about it, kindly visit our website once more, aos.nin.ng, to learn how we can assist you to work on your permanent residency to Canada. So click on the link on our bio once you go on our, or even send us a DM. Once you send us a DM, we can also share you the link and you can go through the link to learn more about permanent residency to Canada. So with that being said, if you have any questions, let us drop it in the comment section. Let me see how I could respond to those questions before we call it a day. If you don't have any questions, don't forget to like our our channel. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like the video, follow our account, and also comment even after this conversation. If you have any questions, you can always converse. You understand? Send comments and even send us a DM later on if you want to talk to us personally. Some people will always say, yes, I want to talk to you personally. You can always book a clarity call. Do you understand? Book a clarity call. Once you go on that website, aos.nin.ng, you'll be able to see where to book a clarity call. You talk to us online and we'll be able to come on live with you, discuss with you, and you understand, kind of guide you through your travel plans. All right. Thank you very much, everyone. If we don't have any questions, then we would call it a day. Um, Lastly, just like I said, just to reiterate again, we have something huge that is coming up. I don't want to say it right now, but this is something that would assist those who are looking for ways to come into Canada or go into other countries and don't have the funding to actually do it. So we are still working on the modalities, but just expect that something huge is coming up roughly by next month, and we are going to be launching it. We are going to also be talking about it in details. I'll put it on my head, God, because I have a lot of backings towards it. So we are going to have a lot of conversation about how we can help those people that cannot actually source for their own funding themselves, how they cannot actually come into Canada with their own funding, and how to actually get, you understand, easy access to finance to come to Canada or to go to other countries. You understand? So with that being said, let's wait and let's expect. And if you want to get more details, as I said, go on our website, aos.nin.ng, subscribe to it so that you'll be part of our newsletter and we can always be sharing you updates from time to time. All right, so thank you very much, everyone. If you don't have any questions, you don't have anything, then we'll call it a day. Thank you once more, and do have a lovely day ahead. Bye for now. Au revoir.